The fact is that those different types of services affect many different dimensions of the well-being of people, and defining human well-being is also extremely challenging. However, we identified that there are certain items that provide you basic material for life, whether it be food, shelter or happiness. Cities are wonderful places, full of excitement, innovation, and energy, but living in a city can be stressful. And the more we live in them, the more stress we have, leading to increases in mental illness, addiction, loneliness, depression and panic attacks. For the designers and engineers who spend years crafting Team USA's uniforms to offer both style and extraordinary aerodynamics, the need to keep athletes warm in these extreme temperatures posed an added dimension of difficulty. Connective tissue cells provide structural strength to the body and also defend against foreign invaders like bacteria. Two types of cells are native to connective tissue. Other cells migrate into connective tissue from the bloodstream to fight diseases. Special types of connective tissue are designed to be stronger and more rigid than most connective tissues. Digital art can be computer generated, scanned, or drawn using a tablet and a mouse. Thanks to improvements in digital technology, it is possible to download the video onto computers, allowing artists to manipulate the images they had filmed with a video camera. When learning a foreign language, most people fall back on traditional methods, reading, writing, listening and repeating. But if you also gesture with your arms while studying, you can remember the vocabulary better, even months later. Linking a word to brain areas responsible for movement strengthens the memory of its meaning. No planet will have a complex form of life that popped into existence all on its own. Whatever life is like on an alien planet, it must have begun simply. But if life is to achieve any kind of complexity, the only way that complexity can accumulate is if favorable changes and innovations are retained and unfavorable ones are lost. A solar fuels generation research program is focused on hydrogen production by means of reactive metal water splitting in a cyclic iron-based redox process. Iron-based oxides are explored as an intermediary reactive material to dissociate water molecules at significantly reduced thermal energies. Along with all that they have in common, infants also show unique individual traits. Some are more active than others, some are more sociable and some are more interested in the world around them. Infants earlier on show consistent differences in friendliness and anxiety level which form part of their early character. Quite obviously, the significant rise in the number of people in a given area or country will affect the demand for a whole host of goods and services. Note that a change in the structure of the population will increase the demand for some goods but reduce the demand for others. A young man from a small provincial town, A man without independent wealth, without powerful family connection and without a university education, moved to London in the late 1580s and, in a remarkably short time, became the greatest playwright not of his age alone but of all time. How did Shakespeare become Shakespeare? Beauty is subjective, and as such it of course cannot be defined in absolute terms. But we all know or feel when something is beautiful to us personally. And in such instances, methods of physics and network science can be used to quantify and help us better understand what it is that evokes that pleasant feeling. Films can be compelling when used well. They have the power to change people's perspectives and outlook on life. When we consider it in education, it has become one of the ideal teaching methods for various reasons. It helps to motivate learners to be more productive and look on the positive side of life. Children need to discover their own strengths and weaknesses in order to find fulfillment as adults in both work and play. Watching television does not lead to these discoveries. It only limits children's involvement in those real-life activities that might offer their abilities a genuine testing ground. The dramatic fireworks display can be the highlight of summer. It also can provide a feast for the senses. Bright colors delight the eye, thunderous booms and whistles surprise the ear. If you're close to the show, you can feel the pressured waves that ripple from each exploding shell. If you live in the city, you may take your skyline for granted. but let me remind you how cool it is. Skyscrapers are amazing feats of engineering and a testament to humankind's progress. What's more, skylines offer an array of architectural styles, as cities certainly weren't built in a day. The next wave of leaders in industrial manufacturing will build an ecosystem that capitalizes on the promise of analytics and connectivity to maximize efficiency for themselves and their customers. They will map out their strategies and prioritize measures that will bring the most value to their business. Venture capitals and public funding authorities need to carefully consider the incentive issues of entrepreneurs when providing support. In allocating resources to potentially competing innovators, there is a trade-off between the risk of innovation failure and rent dissipation. They controlled for the bird's age, sex, body size, and species, and they found that the hunted specimens' brains were actually 5% smaller, on average, than the brains of birds that died by other means. The surprising thing is that, if you make a similar kind of analysis of liver or heart size, there is absolutely no difference there. So this is specific to the brain. The use of technologies for the inclusion and empowerment of persons with disabilities is not new, from the creation of Braille and the first hearing aid to the invention of the wheelchair. For disabled persons, new assisted technology can make all the difference, while technology and innovation are breaking down the barriers to achieving full participation.